veterinary community has the highest suicide rate of all the medical professions. Wow. Used to be dentists, and now veterinarians have vastly exceeded that, and it's an epidemic in our community. So.
Welcome to the Dispatch on Purpose. My name is Amy Dahl, and I'm your host. Thank you for joining us for our podcast, where we talk about leadership, wealth building, generosity, and family success. And today is probably one of my favorite days on this podcast because I get to welcome somebody extraordinary, somebody who is one of my very best friends, who went from a naval officer to a veterinarian, to running a nonprofit. She's done it all, and she has a heart bigger than anybody I know in this world. Aww. Please welcome to my show, Tara Golden.
Hi, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
And we have a very extra special guest who's so good, Mr. Ollie. Yes, good boy.
Ollie knows who loves him.
Yes, he also knows where all the snacks are. What a good boy.
Another treat?
And he's very proud of his Naval Academy bling.
Oh, he's totally got the bling. You missed it. It's right there.
Well, thanks for having me, Amy. This is super fun.
Yeah.
Charged coffee mugs. We got it all.
We're ready. All right, T. Let's start at the beginning. You grew up in a military family. All right, so I'm going to share funny stories as we go through this too, because you and I have a lot in common.
Yes, we need to talk about our history.
So we go further back than we realize.
Yes.
So you grew up in a military family. Your dad was Navy. Your mom was Navy, which
Correct.
is really awesome. Most people don't have female mentors in the military, at least of our generation.
Yes,
the younger
very
generation does. Ollie is going to keep us company the whole time, huh?
Yeah, that's
He's looking for more treats. And ended up here in Hampton Roads and went to the Naval Academy. So tell us a little bit about your background and who you are.
Yeah, so mom and dad were both in the Navy. Dad was a helo pilot, as you and I both know. Mom came in as general and restricted line, so she was an admin officer for a lot of squadrons. They were both in collectively well over 50 years. So really, I knew from the beginning that my trajectory was I was either going to be in a punk rock band or I was going to be a naval aviator. And the punk rock thing wasn't really working that well. And my parents weren't super jazzed about that option. So Navy, Naval Academy, military brat, grew up everywhere. Lots of moving. We moved every 2 years. And then went to the Naval Academy class of 98, 98. Amy, as everybody knows, is 98 plus 1. And then after that, I became a naval flight officer in the E2 Hawkeye. But always in the back of my mind, I had a deep love of animals, always rescuing animals as a child. Even in the Navy on deployments, we'd be in a port call and I'd rescue some creature, or I'd find a frog in the airplane and make everybody stop at the hold short so we could try and release a frog. I mean, there's always, I call them little, maybe God winks or little universal signs that veterinary medicine was eventually going to be in the picture. I just didn't know until my 30s that was the second life trajectory that I was on.
Yeah. So you went active. And then you switched to reserves and used your GI benefits to go to vet school, right?
I did. So I did 12 and a half years active duty as a Hawkeye NFO. And then I transitioned to the Navy Reserves, which was a really great opportunity. Lots of things to do in the reserves. And then I got into NC State vet school, which was my first choice to begin with. But what I loved about NC State is they were very veteran friendly. Mm-hmm. And not all schools were as excited about veterans, but NC State really welcomed me with open arms, and they were hands down the best vet school.
And you were able to carry on your reserve duty.
Yes. So
you're still a reservist.
Correct. I'm an 06 in the reserves. I've been in a total of 27 years.
It's crazy, by the way.
Which is wild.
It says we're old.
We are. Yes, we are now the old ladies. But yeah, while I was in vet school, I was the XO of a NATO ACT unit. So that was tricky, navigating reserves and school full time. But I did it, and anybody else can do that. And I've actually helped some other veterans get into vet school coming out of like Blackhawks and all kinds of dynamic military careers, and they do great in vet school.
What do you think the secret is to navigating both? Reserves and a full-time job is hard. Reserves in school, when you're still learning and studying, what do you think the trick is?
Yeah.
I don't think there's an easy trick. What's most important?
I think the common denominator is, and everybody says this, is finding balance. And it's really hard to understand what balance means. But balance doesn't come until you ask for help. So like I asked my reserve unit, hey, I need help with this particular time period. Also, I was the oldest person in my vet school class. So all the young people were light years ahead of me with how they learned and retained, right? And I'm the one in the back of the classroom with paper and a highlighter, and everybody else is on an iPad with digital pens. But that was how I learned best, so I wasn't going to change that up. But asking like the younger generation to help me and quiz me. So I think asking for help was a big thing, and then also really getting out in nature. I did a lot of hiking, lots of running outside. Physical fitness and activity was really key. And then just being really open and honest with my professors, like, hey, this course is kind of hard. How can you help me with this? So I definitely was not an A+ student. I was probably like a B/C student.
At the end of the day, you're all vets.
But at the end of the day, we're all DVMs.
Yeah. So, which is pretty amazing.
Yes.
Oh, so many different avenues. I want to take this conversation. Okay. We're going to come back to some, but you now, well, actually, we won't jump up to that. I want to go back a little bit. You and I know each other. We've known each other longer than we planned. So
yes.
You want to tell the story?
Sure. You may have to, maybe the timeline of when we figured it out, you may have to jump in on, but I think it was when we were both RAG instructors.
Yep.
Which
is the training command for the Hawkeye community.
That's right. Fleet Replacement Squadron. So we were instructors in the NFO community, and we had a group of girlfriends that still have a group of amazing girlfriends that are really tight. The poodle skirts. Shout out to all the poodle skirts.
Poodle skirts.
And there's a group of us girls that are super close. And, as you get to learn about each other's history and background, Amy and I realized that we both came from military backgrounds. And I was telling her that, my dad was a helo pilot. My mom was in the Navy. And she said, oh, my dad was in as well. He was a crew chief in the H-3. And we both kind of went home and thought, well, that's interesting. And then I think you went home and told your dad, and what did he say?
My dad was like, Tara Golden, is she related to Kenny Golden? And I was like, that's her dad. And my dad says, that's my old Divo from Key West. And we realized that we were both born in Key West.
Yes.
And our parents were stationed there very early in their career. And my dad worked for your parents. And he said, actually, Kenny Golden was really, really cool. And his mom, your mom, was the DAPA.
The DAPA?
Which is the one who regulates the drinking for those who are civilians.
Yes.
So he said we used to drink with the Divo and then hide it from his wife.
Yes, that was so accurate, because I went home and told my parents that after the fact, and my mom said, oh my gosh, your dad and his friends were... I learned how to craft the DAPA program because of all their shenanigans. So.
My dad was probably... I think he was 19 when I was born. So, I mean... He was in his late teens, yeah.
And what's really special about that is not a lot of people realize how special it is for us to have been born in Key West back then, because there was not a mainland hospital.
No.
So we were born on base. The only way that people could have children was to go up to Miami, to plan their the parturition. So we are actually considered native conchs, which is a really cool thing. And if you go back to the post office and show them your birth certificate, you get issued a conch card, which means anytime you go to Key West and you go into any of the bars and restaurants, you get free drinks and you get 50% off all your food.
Well, I had no idea. Look at that.
We're special
today. So then fast forward, Tara has this amazing track record with setting people up. So here's my second funny story.
Yes.
I moved back to Hampton Roads to teach at the training squadron. All right, Allie, I know you want to be part of everything. Sit down.
Sit.
He's like,
boy.
yes, but I know she loves me because she loves animals, and I sense it. So we I moved back here. We have our poodle skirts group, and Tara says, I have this guy I want you to meet. He's looking to buy a house, and he could really use some help. And I'm like, okay, sure, have him call me. She's like, no. You need to call him, and you need to reach out. He is trying to buy a house, and he could use some better advice. And she pushes and pushes until we go on a blind date. Little did I know she was pushing on the other side too. And that man is now my husband. So
yes, that worked out. When you know, you know. And I have a very good track record for setting up people. And I knew you and Derek were meant to be together. And you were so good with the whole real estate thing. And I knew that was an easy connection I could make with you guys. And, he was a little gun shy. And I just remember saying, like, you know what? Hey, I think she needs to expend her resources on somebody else, she doesn't need your business that bad. And I think, he was like, oh, okay. And, but I remember hearing from both of you after that date, it was like, oh, it was supposed to be a 1 hour dinner. It was like a 6 hour
it was
conversation fest, and we couldn't get enough of talking to each other. And I was like, yes, it was so awesome.
2 years later, you're a bridesmaid. We
That's
are
right.
the second of your 3 successful now married couples.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yep. The trend will continue. I'm always on the lookout.
I love it. All right. So you are now a vet, and you run a very unique veterinary practice. So you own your own practice, but it's a mobile vet practice. Can you tell us about it?
Sure, yeah. So in Hampton Roads, there are 3 primary mobile vet clinic practices. Myself, Golden Paws, and I have several veterinarians and techs that work with me. And then there's mobile pet doc, and then there's homeside vet, and then there are some hospice groups. All of them do wonderful things, and collectively we all get along, and we want, to help people and animals. So what's unique about this practice is we actually have hospitals on wheels. Okay. So I have 2 trucks. One is a Mercedes Sprinter, and the other one is what's called a LeBoit. It's a Ford with like a hospital chassis on the back. And we can do labs, we have microscope, we have x-ray, we have ultrasound, we have a pharmacy on the truck. We can do surgeries, and then we can also do dentals. So it's like a one-stop shop. You can do everything. It's very advantageous for 2 unique groups. One is animals that really have a hard time getting out of the house, whether they're geriatric and it's too much on their little bodies, or if they're really anxious. We have a lot of animals that have behavioral concerns, behavioral problems. And then the other is for people that are immunocompromised, people that are sick, people that are scared to leave the home. So there's a broad community of people that really need in-home veterinary services.
So you come to them?
Yes.
In one of your vehicles?
Yes.
That is really awesome. What led you down that path? So you were working at normal vet clinics, right? And did you just see a need?
Yes. I saw it with my animals, particularly my cats, who would just lose their marbles, trying to get them in a cage, and, their blood pressure's through the roof when they get to the clinic. There are just a lot of things that I thought, gosh, they don't do well in the clinic. And also, I felt the need to start something of my own, because I would get a lot of people that would come in the clinic, and as veterinarians, sometimes our hands are tied because people don't have the money to spend on the services. So at my first 2 jobs, I was running into, I was running up to the front desk, handing my credit card to help pay for things without the owners knowing, so they wouldn't feel bad. And, that adds up.
Yeah.
And I thought,
so you're paying for your patient's services.
Right. And which I felt like was always the right thing to do, but it's not sustainable. The other thing that I will say, well, we'll go back to this, remind me to tell you about Not One More Vets. But I wanted to do something on my own so that I didn't have to ask if I could discount something.
Right.
And I thought, I really want to start my own thing so I can have control over what I can and can't give an animal. That's why I started my business.
That's really awesome. Okay, so tell me about Not One More Vet.
Okay, so this leads into why I started the nonprofit, which
Right.
is called Golden Pawsabilities.
Yep. So your main practice is Golden Paws.
Main practice is Golden Paws.
Because your last name is Golden.
Yes. And then a sweet friend named Paula, she's the one that actually came up with the name Golden Pawsabilities. And that's the nonprofit. And what that does is we raise money for a year so that we have funds to help people in the community that just do not have the money or resources to get adequate care, whether it's basic heartworm tests, vaccinations, or whether it's, some advanced blood work, potentially surgery, etc. We partner with Meals on Wheels. We go to the 501c, or not 501, the Section 8 for seniors. So there's a lot of people in the community that we work with. But one of the reasons this is important, where Not One More Vet comes in, is the veterinary community has the highest suicide rate of all the medical professions.
Wow.
It used to be dentists, and now veterinarians have vastly exceeded that, and it's an epidemic in our community. So there's a group called Not One More Vet, and their goal is to provide resources for mental health awareness for veterinarians. People wonder, well, why do veterinarians have such a high suicide rate? Well, people that go into veterinary medicine, most of them are just inherently attached to animals and want to promote healing.
Yeah.
So they have a very healing,
tender
soul, right?
Yeah.
And
it's not like medicine where you're going in for the money, because you guys go through an exorbitant amount of training and don't make what a MD makes by any stretch.
True. And the debt to income ratio is very high. So veterinary school is very expensive. Luckily, my GI Bill covered it. But some of my friends that are my same age, in their late 40s, early 50s, are still paying off their veterinary school debt.
Wow.
Well into their 40s and 50s. You don't get that in the MD community. So that with... You come out of school with this gold standard of how to treat something. Then you go into clinical practice and people don't have the money, or they don't want to spend the money, and you can't treat an animal or relieve its suffering because of financial concerns, etc. That weighs on you. So every night when you go home, you're thinking of Fluffy or Scrappy or whomever, and, could I have done more? And when those pile on throughout the week and then the months and the years, you carry that with you. So when I started Golden Pawsabilities, some of it was because our first year in business, we tanked. We gave over $50,000 worth of medical treatments away for free. And my bookkeeper and my lawyer were like, this is not sustainable. You have to take care of yourself first. So looked out into the community, other mobile vets, and they saw some clients that needed help. And I said, let's start this so that at least the mobile vets, we have options to help community members. So fast forward, we've had this nonprofit for almost 2.5 years now, and it's open to all the mobile vets. So it's not just my business. I have a board of directors that runs it, and homeless can take advantage of it. All the senior citizens in Hampton Roads, seniors in the Section 8 housing, and then we've partnered with Meals on Wheels Chesapeake, and we hope to expand to the other Meals on Wheels.
Nice. So you offer the vet care and bring them a meal then, kind of at the same time.
Well, we don't bring the meals, but yes,
Right.
Meals on Wheels. And interestingly too, I've had some clients where I've noticed that funds were short, food was scarce. So we've been able to put them in touch with Meals on Wheels to have that opportunity, not just Meals on Wheels coming to us with pet parents.
So Meals on Wheels will approach you and say, hey, we delivered meals to these people, but they also need vet services.
Yes.
That is really fascinating.
Lots of room to grow. We have lots of room to grow, but now we're raising the money for that. So we have a big fundraiser coming up, but it's exciting. So the fact that other vets can now tap into this and relieve some of the emotional stress on veterinarians,
right,
so that we can provide adequate care to everyone, not just people that have money for a concierge vet service.
Yeah. So you go into some of the local nursing homes and provide vet care for some of their animals as well, too.
We do.
That's really awesome. I want to talk about your fundraiser here at the end. I want to highlight that and make sure that we hit that because you have a fundraiser coming up, right?
We do.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about it now since I already broached the subject. Tell us about your fundraiser. It's in 2.5 weeks, I think.
Yes, it is October 18th, which is a Saturday. Kova, which is a brewing company across from my neighborhood in East Beach, they hosted our first annual one last year. And it's amazing. There's a pet parade. We have lots of arts and crafts for children. And people, families, and their animals show up in costume. And we have some door prizes, and there's going to be a band there. And it's just a nice time to be outdoors and enjoy fall stuff. And then the door prizes, etc. And we recommend people to bring a $10 donation, but we don't turn away families. So if somebody shows up with their kids and they don't have money, that's not a problem. Everybody can join. The other thing I tell people is if you have an animal that just is not going to do well out of the house with other animals, or you have a cat that's going to obviously be stressed and not want to be in a costume contest full of 100 dogs, bring a photo.
Yeah.
Bring a photo and we can enter them in the contest. But last year was amazingly successful. We didn't think anyone would show up. We thought it was just going to be ourselves. And now we hope we have a good turnout again for this year as well.
Awesome. Well, by the time this airs, it'll be like a week out. So October 18th, give us the time again.
October 18th, the Kova from 12 to 3 p.m.
Kova down in Ocean View, 12 to 3. Bring your pets, bring a picture of your pets and come participate.
Yes.
And enjoy the costume contest. It's cute. All the animals in costumes. I saw your pictures last year. I was out of town, so I couldn't make it. But all right, I want to go back a little bit. And you have walked a lot of different paths in life. So you're still in the Navy. You're still balancing reserves, right? You're going to go all the way to 30, you think?
So I don't know. I'm waiting for the results now to see if I pick up another unit. I have 3 years left. If there isn't a billet for me, I'm happy to retire. 27 wonderful years is great. But if I can go to 30, I will. But what I love about the military, and I know you feel this way too, is it's a second family.
Yeah.
And I have had friends that I flew with or deployed with over 25 years ago that are reconnecting on Facebook or through vet medicine. And it's just a level of connectivity that I haven't been able to necessarily emulate in my civilian life.
No,
and it goes deep.
I'll second that. I totally agree with that. Yeah, it does go deep, doesn't it?
It does. And you feel like you can pick up where you left off. I have a friend recently that we deployed, you and your husband and I deployed with him years ago. And here we are 25 years later, yakety yakking about all the silly things from deployment. And it's like we didn't skip a beat.
2 decades later, though.
2 decades later.
And when you came over and we were getting ready, you're talking about some of the girls you reconnected with in D.C., and some of them were your classmates from the Naval Academy. Some were mine, the great class of 99.
98 plus 1. Yes.
And we haven't, and I don't think I've seen some of these girls for, 25 years, and yet everybody still looks the same and we still have that connectivity. I think it's a shared, there's a bond. You can't explain. It's like, it's a common bond, the sacrifice bond, the going through the hard times bond together, and just knowing what that service and that leadership is like in the military makes you so tight. And we tend to be similar personalities too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it is fun. I mean, Tara came over and we were chatting. Do you remember so-and-so from class of this and so-and-so from class of this? And we got together and we had coffee and so-and-so came in on the train. And especially amongst the females. I would say it's across the board, males and females, but there just aren't that many women from our decades.
Yes.
And even less from the decades before us.
And one other thing that hit me, I was talking with one of my classmates and roommate, Megan Forehand. As you know, she has stage 4 cancer. And she published something on our Naval Academy 98 webpage a couple days ago and just told everybody,
I saw that. And she's one of the statistics because cancer is rampant in aviation right
now. But she posted it, to let everybody know what was going on. But she also had resources that she wanted to share with the rest of the class so that people could tap into these resources. And what was so beautiful about it is everybody in our class responded with such love and grace, and pride in everything she's been doing on her journey, and the outpouring of connection and call me, text me, I'm here for you. I went through cancer too. We're going to get through this together. It gives me chills. And that's special.
Yeah, I saw that last night. It's funny that you should mention that today because I just saw that last night. And of course, she was my husband's classmate. And so I saw it on his group page. And I'm looking into the resources that she shared because we have cancer that runs in our family as well. And she had shared some studies that were open to not just vets, but to others. And maybe I'll share those one day here on the podcast. But as I look into them, I was struck too by how much love was there. And it wasn't always easy being a female at the academy, but coming out, it is definitely a really tight, wonderful network, both male and female.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a sisterhood and a brotherhood that is very tight.
Yeah.
We're lucky.
We are very blessed. Well, I am blessed to have you in my life. And I will go on record to say
ditto times 1,000.
And my kids, I wouldn't have my kids without you. I wouldn't have my husband without you pushing. And my kids adore you. And they're like, oh, the vet lady's coming over again. I don't know why they can't. Luke, my oldest, will call you by name. But the younger two are like, oh, the vet's coming over. She's coming over. When I told them you were coming over today. And of course, they love fundraising for your charity.
So they do. It's so sweet.
Yes. So we'll definitely have a donation for you for your fundraiser coming up, and we're going to try to make it. You are one of the kindest, gentlest people I know. There are so many people in this world whose lives are better for you, Tara. You really, you have just changed so many lives around you. More than anybody I know in this world, you see a need and you reach out. I do, since we're talking about that, tell me, you have some great stories about doing rescues. You've done rescues for hurricanes. You've done rescues in partnership with the Navy, but not even with partnership from the Navy. So talk to me about, you were stationed in Cuba, which was not your favorite deployment.
Yes, it was not.
But you even rescued animals in foreign countries.
I did, yes. There's been, again, I talk about those God winks, and sometimes I think God and the universe put us in places or put what feel like really challenging obstacles, and then they turn out to be opportunities or arrows pointing you somewhere. And that particular one, when I was in Gitmo, I was the director of joint operations for the detainee camp. So there's a steep learning curve. But one thing I found out while on base was we had thousands of cats on base, and there just wasn't a very good program for all the feral cats. So there was a lot of disease with the cats. But here you have a bunch of service members that come from the States. Most everybody has some animal pet of their own that provides love and support and helps with your mental health. So here I am as a Navy captain rescuing cats and illegally having like a
bribing other people
rehab facility in my little Navy room. And so I coordinated with there was like an airline that moved people to and from the island back to the States. So I had a little underground railroad moving cats from the island once, we would get them spayed, neutered, vaccinated, and send them back to the States. So I did a lot of that. I actually was able to stay current for surgery while on base. So the vet clinic needed help with surgeries. So I'd go to my general and admiral and say, okay, sir, I'll be back for the 1400 meeting. I got to go neuter 12 cats. And they're like, Roger that, Golden. See you for the 1400 meeting. And, I'd go put my surgery hat on and then come back and, talk about operations. So that was really cool. As you know, I did the Hurricane Katrina rescue, which was very profound and meaningful in my life, and really planted the seed to become a veterinarian. That was pretty meaningful. And our CO, Ham Ortiz, actually ripped up my leave papers and was like, "Wow, what you're doing in New Orleans is significant as a naval officer. So we're going to count this as an assignment." I was like, "Okay."
I love him.
And then I went to Qatar, working for General Petraeus on a very important plan. And while I was there, I discovered that they only had one animal shelter in the entire country, and it had been burned down by some local rebels that didn't like what they were doing for animals. And myself and a bunch of other people gathered a bunch of food and resources and went and helped them kind of rebuild. So all those were little arrows from God saying, remember, this might be your gift. And, I don't want to belabor this too much, but as you know, I never got back in the E2.
Yeah.
Which was very hard for me. And sometimes what is a trauma or a crisis or a change in what you thought your plans were going to be, turns out to be where you need to go in life. And you just have to accept it and then realize God is planting you where you need to be.
He's closing one door but opening another.
Absolutely.
But you have to be open to hearing him listen.
You have to.
Yeah. And you always have been. Well, I am glad that I got to share a little bit of you with the rest of the world so they know how amazing you are. I know you're so humble that you're going to smack me at the end for saying all these
Stop
things.
that.
But you are amazing. And I really can't thank you enough for being on the podcast. If people want to donate to Golden Pawsabilities, how do they do so?
Yeah, we have a website. It's called goldenpawsabilities.org. The website's great. They made a little video for us. Caitlin Snyder, one of the Fellini nieces, actually made the website.
One of our Navy girlfriends.
Navy girlfriends, nieces. And on there's a QR code or a link to donate.
Okay.
Even
perfect.
$5 goes a long way.
Awesome. So no amount is too small. October 18th, come out to the fundraiser. If you're local, out in Ocean View, bring your pets, bring pictures of your pets, dress up, and come join the fun.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us. This was an amazing episode. I can't wait to share it with you. As always, you can find us on Spotify, YouTube, and all your favorite streaming networks. I'm Amy Dahl, and we'll see you again.